world-class facility, and I believe it is. I've got a 1,000-gallon still that is named Rosie, made by Forsyth over in Scotland.
We love Rosie. We love Rosie.
She's beautiful.
Did you get to go to Scotland and check it out?
Unfortunately, no. Wasn't. I was when I was hired. I guess I could talk a little bit about myself. I actually came out of high tech. I was tired of going through all the ups and downs of the world of tech, and so when a chance came to join the distillery, I did. I came in just as it was being finished, and I was actually here when Rosie was brought online for the first time in September of '03. And then the gentleman that hired me said, "You like to cook, so why don't you work on the recipe? I'll work on getting the licensing done, and we'll open up this place." So I spent about a year coming up with this wonderful product, number 209 gin. And for those of you that have not had 209 gin, what I was basically asked to do was not make my grandfather's gin, meaning not a big, giant, juniper-forward, London dry style gin. Wanted something that was a little bit more approachable for modern palates. Not that 209 is any greater or better than other gins out there, but we all have differences in opinion. I just think it's much more mixable than a lot of the big juniper-forward gins. And that's what I was asked to make, and that's what I did. Using a lot of citrus, bergamot orange being one of the things that is kind of unique to our gin, I believe. Now, when I started, there was nobody using that, but that was a few years back. But we are using that and importing our spices and botanicals from a company over in the UK that's been serving the gin industry for many decades. And so the process is a 24-hour operation. We mature the botanicals in the spirit in the still, and it's about a 12-hour process overnight, and then we do about a 12-hour distillation. So the product has got enough backbone with a 46% alcohol percentage, and it stands up very well in a cocktail. I tend to prefer citrus-forward cocktails. So, for instance, this cocktail I'm enjoying right now is some bitter lemon soda, 209, and a sprig of fresh mint. Very simple, very tasty, very clean, perfect for a hot day down here at the pier.
Well, Arnie, I just say you make delicious gin. It's really clean. When I show it to people, I don't ever have to chill it down. For true, aficionados, people who drink spirits straight like I do and you do, they don't have to, you don't have to put ice in it. You don't have to put a little water in it, even though that does change it. And that's what spirits are for, is you're in a cocktail dilutes the spirit. And so you're rehydrating, the spirit. But I just think that it's incredibly smooth. And what I tell people is that there's a nice arc to this spirit, and it has a good beginning, and it has a good middle, and just a very, and I don't want to say smooth because people in the industry don't like you to say smooth, but to the average person, that's the word they would use. And for me, it's an arc. It doesn't spike in any one particular direction like a lot of gins that I taste do. They have one or two, pops to it, and sometimes the finish is really lacking. And you have a great, beautiful finish. So I know that there's a lot of not secrets, but there's a true technique and art to that, and you've figured it out, and especially with the reserve. I just want to mention these really quickly because that's what I made my cocktail today. It's a version of Jonny's cocktail called the Peppermill cocktail, and we're going to join. Jonny's going to join us in just a few minutes here, just a few seconds, and so half and half because I think the Sauvignon Blanc barrel has a nice spice to it, just like Sauvignon Blanc has that green bell pepper. I think that that type of pepper kind of comes through, that greenness. It's very similar to black pepper, just in the same family. And so I made it, and it's very nice. It adds a nice complexity to it. But your spirit is complex, balanced, and has this beautiful arc and lots of flavor to it, and doesn't burn your throat. It's one of the best gins I've ever had. Now, what year did you start? I just want to make sure everyone knows this is not. That we didn't just make this gin a couple of days ago or whatever, or a month ago, or even a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
what year did you start?
I spent quite a bit of time, about a year, 2004 actually, just coming up with a recipe. And you were referring to the finish on the gin as one of the things I worked on the most to make palatable and enjoyable for the consumer. We do have a bit of cassia, which is related to cinnamon, and that's kind of the last note you taste. And so it's very welcoming. And so there were about 87 different iterations to come up with the actual final formula for our flagship.
Wow, 87. That's incredible.
Yeah, so it took me a bit, but I love playing around and experimenting. And so it went right into my wheelhouse of what I like to do.
You're right on. I'm going to ask you, because I'm not seeing the option here. This is the first time trying to switch over to this is our warm-up, and I appreciate you being our warm-up guest today. And then I'm going to invite Jonny on, and I don't see the option here. I was trying to find that earlier, but I don't see it. So I'm going to ask you just to lock off or just to shut it down, and then you can come back on. And that gives me the option, I think. So, hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
And want to say a shout out to Jonny. Jonny and I have known each other for 15 years, and just an excellent man in the bar scene and just in general. So I think we're going to enjoy our time with him. All right, logging off.
See ya. Thanks. Hey, thanks for joining us for the 2 Martini lunch here. My option came up here. We're going to be going live right now with Mr. Jonny Raglin. I'm adding him here, and he's going to come on to our show. He's going to come right into my kitchen. I wish he could just there you are. You could just appear right here. This is where you need to be, in my kitchen.
I'll dive in there.
We'll be editing this out later.
Yeah.
So, have you ever seen that show Magic for Humans?
No.
It's really good. You should. Your love it. I've been watching. I've been watching it, and it's a really show. I'm not sure if I should be plugging TV shows or not, but it is. Sip and man, that kid needs some interaction. So sometimes the TV is that interaction. So, but there's some really good episodes where the guy is like, there's no such thing as magic. And so he gets a group and he convinces them that he's not going to do magic. And then he does the magic, So that's what I'm hoping this video can eventually, or this show can eventually become. It's like just magically
someday
you pop up in my kitchen. Hey, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on to Distillery 209 live Instagram. It's a fun thing to do. And I do call it 2 Martini lunch for a reason. And one, it's 2 of us. Hopefully my wife's going to join me, so it's 2 in that way. And then I had 2 guests as well. So it just keeps it's exponential, is what I like to think of it. So we have a great cocktail that Jonny has made today for us, called the Peppermill cocktail. Now I did just make it, and I don't know if you saw it. Cool. Well, I didn't let you see, but I did not have a 10. I couldn't find it. Lost in the move.
Other things,
Well, that's it. That's what sip, stay in place means. Use what you have. But this is delicious. I did use a little bit, half, and I think maybe you should tell people about the cocktail. And I'm going to tell this cocktail with the dish that I created today.
How about I just make the drink, man?
Do it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you okay, great. I thought the construction noise was going to be too much.
I've got this amazing stand right now. It's a fruit basket. I'm perching my phone.
I'm gonna mail you something. I'm gonna send you something because you need it, and I know, and it's what my phone is being held by, and it's fantastic.
So I'm just gonna make the drink real fast, Walter. And
great, perfect.
Because I'm thirsty. So really, this is about basil, and I think that basil is better. I think it's better in cocktails than it is in dishes. It's better to drink it than to eat it.
I love basil.
It's so versatile in cocktails, though. And I think that with this particular gin, where you have this big citrus backbone, they, like Arnie said, it harmonizes with citrus types of cocktails. But the added layer here is a little bit of spice. And then the basil, to me, that's Italian, right? It's like
so Italian.
You got bergamot, and you got basil, and you got black pepper.
It's Mediterranean for sure.
Who uses black pepper like the Italians? Like cacio e pepe pasta.
I love black pepper.
Fire with black pepper. So
black pepper bacon, black pepper on your steak. But on your tomatoes. It makes everything better.
Totally. So I'm using about 6 leaves. And then, the black pepper syrup, which we have, on the how to make on the recipe, that's only about half an ounce, quarter of an ounce, or half an ounce, 3/4 of an ounce. And I muddle it together with the basil. So this starts everything off.
Just for the, everyone assumes that people know what things are, but can you just tell it why do we muddle things? What is it doing?
Well, I mean, we're bringing all of the essential oils that are inside the basil leaf to the surface, and it creates much greater aromatics. Honestly, people aren't muddling like they used to. I mean, people used to muddle like everything, right? We used to put this one in a pint glass and ice and basil and the syrup, and then you kind of cover the pint glass and do the old...
Oh, yeah, totally. You use the ice to crush the herbs.
Called a Seattle muddle or something like that. I mean, Dave Depot, he used to make muddlers like crazy. Everybody was into muddlers, and then,
Mr. Mojito. Mr. Mojito. Shout out to Mr. Mojito.
Yeah, exactly. Dave. Next up is lemon, and for me, this drink gets a half a lemon because it's about 3/4 of an ounce. I think your key here is just to have about the same amount of syrup to the pepper syrup ratio, and that should create a balance for you. And then you can tweak it, and then twice the amount of 209. So that's
I like what you said. Sorry, I like what you said about tweaking, because I think that is the key to good sip survival, but also just in general survival. I'm not a big fan of his recipes. I know we talked about this before, where it tells you every single thing, 3/4 ounce. Recipes should be about technique and about what you can. So I love the combination of the basil and the pepper, but you could substitute, and the citrus is obviously the lemon. You could substitute other citrus. You could play around with it, is what I'm saying.
This works with lime. I mean, you need something with acidity, obviously. So
totally.
Like orange is probably not going to do the trick necessarily, but I mean, I agree, Walter. I always think of cocktails in parts and not about volume, because we're measuring in ounces versus they measure in gills in the UK. There's like so many ways, but really it's about proportion. And so that's how I always like to think of it. It's about parts. So the one thing I don't have here is my chili tincture, because I don't have bird's eye chili. You could use other chilies, just don't use like hot sauce. That's not going to be the thing. What you want, like a little added heat to this drink. To me, bird's eye does the trick. Dried bird's eye chilies is just so riotous. I'm going to shake this up.
I'm adding a little cayenne onto my drink. Just a little bit. There we go. Because I did not have the tincture either, even though I thought about using other bitters. I think that could be a substitute as well, especially if it's the spicy bitters. Sure. But you can make your own tincture. It's basically just an infused spirit, correct, Jonny?
That's true. All it is a simple infusion.
I put a little cayenne in mine. I kicked it right up.
Yeah, totally.
All the citrus came out.
If it's
all the basil came out.
And it's you're just using like a pinch of it, that would be perfect. But like no tapatio on this one.
As you're finishing up, I'm just getting my Gazpacho is what I decided to pair with this drink, because it has a little bit of pepper. I like the paprika in Gazpacho. It's not necessarily Italian, but it is Mediterranean. And I do put a lot of it, and that's what I think about it. I'm following up with a little. So this is the base Gazpacho, and I'm just putting a couple of things in it. I'm putting a little sour cream and just some garnishes. There we go. That's what you're going to be drinking, eating with your drink. That is.
I'm coming over.
I made 2 settings. Why aren't you here?
Sorry, I didn't get the memo, dude.
Cheers to you, brother.
Cheers to you, Walter, my old
Look,
friend.
I made two because I'm waiting for my wife to get here, so I'm going to sip on hers.
Oh,
Sip.
yeah.
Cheers.
Salud. Mm-mm.
Now, if I don't mention this now, I'm never going to mention it, and I'm going to forget, and we're going to get off, and I'm going to feel horrible. 10 years. That is a long time, my friend, to have not only established an icon on the West Coast in America, I think, but
I have to say, well,
Comstock, happy 10-year anniversary to you and Jeff and everyone that made that place happen.
Thank you, Walter. Well, you helped too. It was something.
A little bit. I'm a good cheerleader.
I believe that you brought me from Peru for there. Yeah.
I did.
Did you import drugs?
Please, this is live, and this is not the time to talk about now. So there was a moment where I did bring some coca tea into the country, but that was de-alkalized. I'm not listening to you anymore. No, in Peru, I'll tell you my story. In Peru, the first time I was in Peru, I was waiting for a bunch of bartenders to join me. I had one day on my own. I was sick as a dog the day before. Somehow I got onto first class, slept the whole day, right? And tried to go to sleep in that noisy town, Lima, it was used to be really, really noisy. And then I woke up, went to Lamar, had my first coca sour, and that's a traditional drink in Peru. Is they confuse the coca leaves, not the whatever that they derive or make it into, but the true coca leaves, just like basil. It's like dry basil, and that they do it with all sorts of herbs. So every restaurant has like 30 of these jars filled with all sorts of roots and herbs, and all from the Amazon. Peru's an amazing place, incredible. And so anyway, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But the coca sour really does have a little kick. It makes you wake up. That's for sure.
Yeah. We were using the coca leaves and putting it into what we called the nickel juice.
Oh, the nickel juice. That's right. Yeah, totally.
One of our secret ingredients. Yeah. But yesterday was like, Walter, I can't.
10 year anniversary at Comstock Saloon in San Francisco. Someone doesn't understand what we're talking about. It's epic.
All day long, people saying thank you. How great it's all. Hi, Aaron.
There's Aaron. Hold on one second. I'm gonna have to take my. I don't want to turn you off here. It's in my earpiece. So, okay, please sit down and have a little food. I know you're hungry. Oh, I'm sorry. You can have this one. There we go. I'll be standing. I'm always standing. There you go. This is yours, though. Jonny, I wish you were eating this with us. I'm going to make sure it's good here with the cocktail.
I believe it.
It's just fresh tomatoes, cucumber. Let's see. Where is that option here? I don't want to cut you off. That would be horrible. And onions, garlic. Again, I think gazpacho is a great kitchen sink option here, and this sip at place. Sit in place and sip in place. Whatever you got, you can throw into a gazpacho. As long as I just don't like too much onion or too much garlic taste. I like a little bit, and so I sweat it just a little bit and then chill everything down. So,
perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Hot and sunny up there in Hillsburg?
It is. It's very warm today. That's why I was thinking this was a good option. How about San Francisco?
Sunny, but it's like
cool.
Sunny and 62. Yeah.
So I had a couple of questions that I just before we have to depart. And let's see, what time is it? Oh, we've got a few more minutes here. But I was just wondering, what was the element for you for gin? Because I know that gin is near and dear to you. Tell me about your. I said aha moment. The aha.
Well, I mean, all I can say was like in the early days of cocktail bartending, what I would call like the cocktail revolution that happened in the early 2000s in San Francisco. We were kind of combating just vodka overuse, and people were afraid of drinking that they're not. They were certainly afraid of drinking gin.
Mm-hmm.
But then our other thing was that we wanted to make classic cocktails. So whenever you look at the old cocktail books, they're just full of gin cocktails. And, once you start discovering that gin is like an amazing flavor of vodka, actually, then, it just kind of opened up all kinds of new ideas for new contemporary cocktails. And the results were pretty astounding. Like on the front lines, I guess I would call it, at places like Stars and Absinthe. It was really amazing to turn people on to gin, because they were like, oh no, that's stuff, I'll never drink that. And yeah, we won people over. And now, I mean, look at the market now, Walter. It's ridiculous.
So broad. So deep.
Like flavored vodka it was in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, my aha moment was really, I don't know. I was never afraid of gin. I got really sick off of gin whenever I was in high school, bussing somebody's drinking Beefeater. So, I mean, but once I found my first gin and tonic, I mean, I was like, oh, this is my drink. I love gin, and my aha moment was probably just with a G&T.
Hey, I just wanted to remind everyone that this is Gin 209, Distillery 209, live on Instagram. We're doing the two martini lunch. So my wife and I are sharing this delicious martini and mine's almost gone, that I made from Jonny. Oh, yours is already gone. Wow, she started late. It's gone. It's called the Peppermill Cocktail, and we are honored to have Jonny Raglin, good friend and industry leader from San Francisco. He's head of bars at the Absinthe Group. And man, if you didn't hear, if you're coming in late, I saw some people joining kind of late. We're celebrating his the 10-year anniversary of Comstock opening in San Francisco, Comstock Saloon. And man, that place, I love the fact that it opened one way, and then you made a real transition with opening with reconditioning and rethinking the front part of that. I don't know even how you say it, but the Pacific Street side of that corner.
The Monkey Bar, yeah.
How many times has that bar been hit by a car?
I posted pictures on Instagram or on Facebook yesterday. So many pictures we saw. There's like 4 different cars that have crashed either close or into the building, including that one that went right through the door.
That's incredible.
It nearly killed somebody. It was pretty crazy. We had to pick up our March shift. But yeah, I built that bar, Walter. Jeff and I went out and found the bar top out of Lodi. We bought it from like a 7. Refurbished it, and the back bar was an old fireplace mantle town. We threw it in, and it looks like it's always been there. Did you make another one?
I actually I'm at the dregs. I'm at the dregs.
At the bottom.
So I just needed something in my glass.
Even if it might be off air, I'm going to be making myself a martini with, of course, 209 gin and a little bit of Manzanilla sherry.
That's what I put into I forgot that. That was part of the Gazpacho was sherry.
Oh. So go back to Arnie and about like citrus and backbone.
Mm-hmm.
Like citrusy and bright, and it has acidity to it, so it's perfect, I think. And 209. I'm
going to say something. I'm going to go on a limb here, and if you don't have a bottle of sherry, you should, not the sweet kind, but the manzanilla or the fino, something you can play with cooking, with deglazing, with, as you're saying, making cocktails. Grapes blend really well, and spirits that balance like 209 also blend very well in anything that you do. Actually, I even tried it earlier with the Gazpacho with a little 209 gin because I couldn't find my fino too. I finally found it. It was in the car, heading to our new place that we're moving to. So. Hey, we're going to have to sign off pretty soon here, but I just wanted to tell everyone, yes, you should have a bottle of manzanilla. You should also have a bottle of 209 gin because it's so delicious. It's easy to make anything with. You can drink it straight, a little ice, a little tonic. I mean, gin and tonics are definitely my go-to when it comes to an easy drink at home, and anything in the garden works, and you just spank that baby, put it right in, squeeze a little citrus, you're good, you're done. Tall drink,
Walter, with the Mediterranean tonic water from Fever Tree. I love the combo.
It's so good. The Fever Tree is so good.
Yeah.
So, hey, thank you so much for being on the show today. Am I missing anything? When can we come back and taste your wares, man? We're all dying to get back to Comstock.
We just have to figure out when we can all get closer again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hope soon, Walter.
I do too. Don't put any plastic screens in that place. I'm sorry. Please don't put any plastic screens in that place.
No.
If you're wondering also where to get anything that we've talked about, especially 209, you can just go straight to the website, Distillery 209, number 209, and you can see find, and that's where you find you'll find some great booze. And don't forget the reserves; they're delicious. All right, talk to you later, my friend.
Love you, Walter. Bye.
See ya. Thank you. All right, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. Tune in next week for the Splinter Group 2 Martini Lunch. Oh, Jonny left. And thank you, Erin, for showing up. I really appreciate it. It's awesome. She's been educating our 6-year-old, so and now she needs to do her own work. So I'll talk to you soon. In 2 weeks, we'll do another Gin 209. So we're alternating weeks for anyone who wants to join us every Thursday, 1 p.m., but alternating. All right, so every other Thursday that is. All right, thank you so much.